always said they're anxious to be out here. How about the coaching staff? You guys ready for this?
Yeah, we always are too. I mean, we probably, we do start spring ball later than most programs, so you start seeing it on ESPN, hearing about places getting their thing going, and for us, it's always that little bit longer wait, but it's been good. We've been able to get a lot of good work in this winter, both in the offices, obviously with the players in the weight room and conditioning. So, but now it's always nice to get back on the field.
What are some of the things you focus on in the spring? Anything particular, or the fundamentals again, or what's it like for you?
Yeah, fundamentals. I mean, that's going to be a blanket answer has been for years and will be, and it's true. I mean, you have to build that foundation, and I think though the error is you can't get away from those even midway through the season. You have to continue to build on those. But every spring has its different challenges, and I think we definitely have. I don't know how much detail to get into, but we definitely have little things that we look back on last year and we say, okay, we had a team that performed, this well in the Big Sky and nationally for 2 years. But where are some areas where maybe we're still a little bit on the average side, even though the team's having success? And we find those little areas, like our turnover margin is one that we want to keep pushing and take it to another level, because to me it's closer to an average level, in comparison to where, in my belief, it can be, and it has been at times in the past. And then little things, shedding blocks, you find little areas, staying sticky, getting better at certain aspects of your run game or your pass game, vice versa on defense, and those are always going to be, year to year and team to team specific.
Let's talk a lot about how this is for the younger guys. Anything in particular about this younger group that has you excited, that you're anxious to see in the coming weeks?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's I know sometimes vets kind of think that way, because they know that they've played a lot of football, and holy cow, we're still 44 practices away from playing, so it's natural to think that way. We're younger guys still. I mean, this is like, maybe feels a little bit more like game day sometimes to them, but there's no question there are some battles and some young guys. I mean, corner jumps out at me the most. I mean, I know there's a lot of other positions, and believe me, there's competition throughout the team, but corner's that one where we had our top 3 guys leave last year as seniors. So we've got a lot of young guys who maybe haven't played a lot, fighting for that, that role and that job, and it all starts and it never stops. Even midway through the year, that competition will continue to go. So I'm excited to see a number of battles, but that's the one that jumps out. But what's funny is I was excited last year because everyone was talking about receivers last year at this time. What are you going to do? How's it going to go? And I think as a unit we felt pretty confident about where we could go with that crew, and sure enough, I think that played out on the field, and I feel the same about some of the, no disrespect to anyone who left the program. I mean, appreciate so much those seniors, but then you're always excited for that next group and what they can do going forward.
How much does it help that young secondary to get a look from, probably the best passing attack in the country?
It definitely helps, and it definitely can be humbling at times, I mean, but that's the good thing. You want, no matter what you're trying to do, whether it's in the winter you're going through conditioning or whether you're going through things, in spring ball, you want practices or whatever you're doing to feel tougher than games. So if they can get in situations out here, covering Cooper, covering Shaq, covering Corey, covering those guys, and that feels tougher than who they're playing on Saturday, that's a good thing, and you want to create that at a lot of positions and with a lot of drills you do.
Some of the guys brought up the last game, the last 2 seasons on their own, and the motivation. I'm sure it still feels pretty fresh. You get the sense that the guys do have a pretty significant chip on their shoulder once they get back on the field.
I think definitely. I think it's kind of that, it's a nice kind of, what's the best way I can say, you can have a chip on your shoulder, but at the same time you can be very confident and excited to build upon the things we've done. Because I'll argue with some people that making one run, and winning a national title may not be as hard as going back-to-back years, winning the Big Sky and getting all the way to the Final Four back-to-back seasons. So what these guys have done, and I'm not looking back, has been pretty special. So I think you can have that confidence that, that we're that team that teams are going to come after week in and week out, because this is the consistency we've shown over the last couple of years, but also that chip in that, we've been 3 points away from, having that shot at a title, the last 2 years. So it's a good happy medium there with that chip, but also that confidence going into that next year.
Are there any specific players during winter workouts and, at the tail end of last year that you're really revved up and really excited to see out here in action?
Yeah, it's tough to, You know, it's tough to look at, you know, specific guys when you put me on, you know, it's just because I'm so excited about so many different positions. I think more than anything, probably because you haven't necessarily seen them in team situations, some of those guys who redshirted probably are, you know, those are always the guys that you've seen them in scout team, you've seen them move around against your ones and twos, whether it's scout O or scout D. So now you're obviously excited to see what they can do when they're truly out there with an opportunity within our offense or within our defense. You know, whether it be a Gall or a Kreifels, you know, or a, you know, whoever it might be. Even Delando not getting as much action, even though he didn't redshirt, what he can do. A Nick Splendorio, you know, another example. Just some guys who redshirted last year and now coming up, but you saw things as redshirts that you thought can really carry over. Those are probably, you know, just because they're new. But I'm excited to see everyone coming off the winter and all the work they put in.
Vern mentioned maybe some wrinkles offensively without giving too much away. Anything in particular you guys want to work on next few weeks?
You know, there are definitely going to be some wrinkles. I think you know, you probably saw more change last year than you might this year, though. You know, we just want to keep building on what we were able to, you know, because we made a serious emphasis to be better in our run game, to involve Vernon, you know, not a crazy amount, because I'm not a believer that you know, he's going to carry the ball 4 or 5 times just without calling anything. So you want to be careful of that, in my opinion. Plus, to me, he's, you know, like I said, he's throwing the ball so well, and I want him to get it to those athletes in space. But there are certain things that we want to expand upon in our run game that I think we took it to new levels last year. There's no question on paper what we did in 2013 offensively, you know, with our balance was better than it was in 12. And I want to keep building on that, because I think that balance is the absolute key to really chasing championships.